What's up, everybody? I'm David Hain. Welcome to episode number 338 of the A2D From Addict to Disciple podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like, subscribe, follow, and share the link with your friends. If you'd like to get our curriculum, you can get the paperback or ebook of From Ashes to Destiny on Amazon. Today's episode of the A2D From Addict to Disciple podcast is number 338, and it's entitled Happily Ever Sober. And happily ever sober leaves no room for relapse. So let's sort of dig into this here. Let's look at the word ever. Ever means always. So happily always sober. Ever means forever. So happily forever sober. It's like the until death do we part. It's like the always in Whitney Houston's song, I Will Always Love You, where she's singing, even if we can't be together, I will always love you. Nothing will ever change that. So even if you can't be with the friends you're making in rehab for the rest of your life, that doesn't change your sobriety. You will be happily ever and always sober. Or sort of like the Robert Knight song, Everlasting Love, where he sings, when others' love light fades and is gone, mine will still be strong. So when the idea of getting clean and sober loses the brightness, the lights start to dim, it starts to get a bit ho-hum. Can yours be the one? Can your recovery be the one that still stays strong so that you can be happily ever sober? And I want to define two different words that we sort of use interchangeably, but really are different, and it makes a huge difference in this Happily Ever Sober episode. Ever means continuously. So happy, continuously sober. It does not mean continually. They're not interchangeable words, and let's look at it. Continually implies sort of frequent, repeated actions that you do over and over again, but it allows space for those actions to be interrupted. So I want to ask you, are you stuck in continually working on your recovery, but learning to hate the frequent and repeated lapses, the interruptions in your recovery when you lapse or slip back in to using and you lose your sobriety for a moment, for a minute, for a weekend, whatever? So let's focus on this continuously word. This means without interruption, no breaks, no stopping. There's an unbroken flow of life of recovery. It's an active, nonstop lifestyle. You're ever vigilant, ever strong. So no situations shut down the flow of your life of recovery. Well, how do we get there? How do we move forward from where we're at now and find this continuous recovery so we too can say, I'm happily ever sober? Well, let's start by looking at the three common stages of relapse in addiction recovery. And those are emotional relapse, mental relapse, and finally, the physical relapse. And what I'm here to say today is that by understanding the emotional relapse that is inside of us and the mental relapse that is inside of us, we should and can seek intervention to avoid the third stage, to avoid that step into physical relapse. You should also be able to recognize and listen to friends who see changes in you and put action in place to stay continuously ever sober, continuously in recovery. You will take your thoughts and your feelings captive before they control your footsteps that are quick to run back to the dealer or to the bar. Let's unpack each of these steps, these stages in relapse. The first one, number one, emotional relapse. So what is it? It's when you aren't thinking about using necessarily, but your behaviors, your emotions, your feelings are setting you up for future relapse. And people see it in you because you sort of lose your energy for your recovery, and you're starting to be controlled by your emotions. And some of the signs that others see in us are sort of our negative feelings increasing, or maybe our self-care declines. They see stress or irritability or anger, anxiety. They may see us isolating or becoming detached. They may see that poor self-care, poor self-hygiene. You may see not sleeping well or no energy to go to meetings. You sort of sleep through the meetings and don't even get out of bed, so you're skipping your meetings. And the best you might be doing is bottling up your feelings. If you're seeing any of those things going on, or if friends are pointing out any of those things in you, that's a key stage, a key first stage in relapse. That's the emotional relapse. And you want to talk it through. You want to ask for intervention into those stressors, into those things that are messing with your emotions. The second stage is the mental relapse. And what is it? It's that war in your mind where you're really conflicted. You have cravings and thoughts of using, and you don't know what to do with them. You're sort of embarrassed by them. You're ashamed to tell people about them. You feel guilty because you're having them, and they're beginning to take hold of you. These thoughts are becoming obsessive, and the more they take hold, the less willing you are to talk to anyone about them. And the signs that people can see and you should see are you begin to spend time thinking about your past use and thinking about it as sort of the good old days. You're glamorizing it. You're thinking back to the parties. You're thinking back to the fun, to the vibe of addiction lifestyle. And you may be even lying to yourself about some of the consequences, to the point where you find yourself in this mental relapse where you begin planning to use maybe just once, or you begin planning to use just a little bit when you get this weekend pass to go home. And I like to view this as high-risk thinking. So if you're caught up with high-risk thinking, that's mental relapse. And again, you need to seek intervention. You need to ask for people to step in so you can work through that before it takes over and leads you to physical relapse. And that's our third stage, the physical relapse. And what is that? That's where you actually return to substance use. It can be a single event, a slip or a lapse, or it can be a return to regular, uncontrolled, out of control binging and full-blown addiction. And the signs that are easy to see is you begin to plan and seek out using again. You begin to put that plan in effect, and you go out of your way to put yourself in position to make it easy to pick up again, rather than going out of your way to avoid the dealer. And often, if not all the time, this happens after the emotional and mental stages have escalated to the point and you didn't ask for help when you were caught in those. So the key to staying happily ever sober is to learn these three stages and allow the knowledge you've gained and the wisdom you've gained to put you in a position where you recognize the warning signs early. You can equip yourself with the support to stop the cycle before you ever pick up the substance of choice again. So that's why it's so important to really equip yourself in this area of being able to stay happily ever sober. And again, the key word is continuously, not continually. So uninterrupted. And I'd like to leave you with three quotes. The first one is by Brian Tracy, a Canadian-American motivational speaker. And he said, practice the philosophy of continuous improvement. Get a little bit better every single day. You got that? A little better day by day. every day. No weekend off from continuous personal improvement. The second quote is by John Dewey, an American philosopher and psychologist, who said, "The self is not something ready-made, but something in continuous formation through choice of action." So as you're trying to form, what do I look like in recovery? What do I change, and how do I recognize the change of being happily ever sober? I think the key is to remember it's not something that's ready-made. You're not going to go find a bag or a box that you pop in the microwave for 60 seconds and boom, it's done. It's something that you need to continuously make the right choices to grow and form into someone who makes right choices continuously without even thinking, without interruption, without any hiccups. And the last quote for this episode is by Mao Zedong, the Chinese Communist Party leader, who said, "Any form of exercise, if pursued continuously, will help train us in perseverance." So you need to perform these steps continuously. You need to perform by making right choices. You need to perform inventory checks on your emotions and your thoughts continuously. And then that will give you that strength to persevere. And the perseverance will come from doing the right thing continuously. And as a result of doing the right thing continuously, you will be able to endure the hiccups and the circumstances around you without creating hiccups in your actions. And you will truly find yourself with the character being formed of living happily ever sober. Thanks for listening to this episode of the A2D from Addict to Disciple podcast. You can contact me by the link in this platform that you're listening to this episode on, or by email at davidfroma2d@gmail.com, or go to my website, www.froma2d.org, and click on the contact page. Keep listening to future podcast episodes, and as always, stay safe and stay resilient.